American left, meanwhile, believes in equality, feminism, female empowerment, or so we're told anyway. But they seem to be having a hard time with Ivanka Trump, who, despite being a woman, also has the intolerable status of being President Trump's daughter. As a result, a stream of critics have ridiculed her, called for boycotts of stores carrying her products, and much more. Tammy Bruce is a radio host in New York. Wait, not just a radio host, she is the radio host in New York. She says the left's conduct toward Ivanka, Melania, and other female Trumps exposes them as a gang, yes, of vapid and petty bullies. Oh my gosh, that sounds pretty rough.
Not that I have an opinion. Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
What's behind all this?
Well, look, as a feminist myself, I was the president of the National Organization for Women in L.A. during the 90s, and this was a commitment of mine. And what feminism was supposed to be was about lifting up all women, improving the quality of our lives, getting more rights for women, making sure we could make choices that best suited us. Now what you've got is it's turned into a political cudgel, right? You've got it as a dividing line that the left is using to say to women, if you don't conform, you're going to become the other. And we're going to either ruin you, we're going to hurt your business, we're going to shun you. And this is what's so ironic about this, Ed, is that Ivanka and Melania seem to be political moderates. They are businesswomen. Ivanka's line, of course, has been fabulous. She's a mom. She is everything that the feminist movement said we could accomplish. And yet she is now the enemy because she doesn't pay allegiance necessarily to the liberal line.
Well, and I wanted to add that, to your point, the left has also suggested, and I'm not saying I agree with this line of thought, but that, President Trump is unstable, he's out of control. They believe, thank God we've got Ivanka and her husband, Jared Kushner, they're going to keep him more in the middle. And then what do? They turn around and attack her.
Yeah. Well,
Does that make any sense?
Well, see, this is the other problem. If all of the Trump children, but particularly Ivanka and the First Lady, are role models and are pretty much an example that puts the lie to the claims that they make of the president. I mean, you've got women who respect him. They do well on their own. They're excited about the nature of what's occurring. And their role modeling to the nation is a threat to the nature of what the left and what the feminist, so-called feminist movement is saying. Look, feminists now apparently stand for nothing. If they stood for women in general, they would be elevating all of these women, and even to the point of what this New York Times reporter said, of course, about the First Lady, I don't even want to repeat it, but it is the oldest accusation, Ed, to accuse a woman who does not conform of that so that they are then shunned or even worse is done to them. It also evolved into calling women witches, and we know what happened to women who are accused of that. So this is an old playbook being now used by so-called feminists.
Here's the other part of it that really strikes me, which is that Ivanka Trump is somebody who's basically could be, I'm not saying she is, she could be the spoiled daughter of a rich guy. Exactly. But instead, she made it on her own. Of course she got help. Of course she got a fresher and a better start than a lot of other women around the country, around the world, because of her last name. However, she has not rested on that. She has not relied on that. She appears to me, I've only met her maybe 2 or 3 times, as someone who's not just well-spoken, but is a strong, confident woman on her own. Why is that not celebrated?
That's because one of my main points is that her style and grace reflects back on her father, because it's political, because she is the threat to what all of the left has been saying. I'm sure it's a shock to her and her husband, because they, of course, have been very big in some liberal and Democrat circles, and this is an education for them as well. Being rich like that and having those opportunities could, in fact, encourage you to not take care of your own life and move forward in that regard. But she should be a role model for everyone. She really is, as is the First Lady, as is Tiffany Trump as well. Remarkable women with amazing stories on their own, the pressure of that environment, while also using their success to help others, and now in the ultimate commitment, leaving everything behind to help the country. If that's not being a role model and a feminist, I don't know what is.
We could also throw in there Kellyanne Conway, who is the first female winning presidential campaign manager in American history, and I barely ever see that mentioned, but we're going to have to talk about that next time. Tammy Bruce, appreciate your insights tonight.
Thanks, Ed.